Hello, welcome to Kindness in Business, the podcast where we explore the power of compassion and empathy in the business world. My name is Sonia Gonzalez Guillonneau, and I'll be your host. Today, I'm joined with a very special guest. We've got Yurii Veremchuk here with us. Yurii is an AI-driven sales expert and SaaS growth advisor. He's also a co-founder of Swipely, a swipe file platform for creators and partner of AISDR, where he helps SaaS companies scale efficiently through AI-optimized outbound and social selling solutions, without the need for costly go-to-market agencies. Beyond work, he's a snowboarding enthusiast, Formula One fan, and avid traveler. Hello, Yurii. Welcome.
Hi, Sonia. That was a beautiful intro. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm very excited for this session and for this episode. For those of you that don't know, Yurii and I have been online friends for maybe 3-4 years now, but we did get to meet face to face at SaaS*, I believe. Yes, SaaS*. A couple of years ago, got to go to a lavender party, which was a blast. So I'm very happy to have been able to meet Yurii face to face, even though we're based in different parts of Europe, Poland, and Madrid. But Yurii, to get started, would you like to give us a little bit of an introduction? Who are you beyond work? What's your journey look like so far?
Well, I don't know if I can do a good job of giving a better introduction than you did, but beyond work, I would say that I'm the least likely person for you to bet on that this guy would be something, because things were not placed in my odds. Like, I come from a part of the world where pretty much every odds was stacked against me. And just, step by step, action by action, I just keep, turning the odds from negative 99 to something positive. And I think that shaped me the person that I am. All of my disadvantages have become my advantages and superpowers over time. It also humbled me a lot. Yourself, how sales can be humbling. And as you can see, I've become quite philosophical after being rejected thousands of times.
Yeah, I think it's something that comes with sales, right? But that's a beautiful story, and kind of not coming from a place of privilege, not coming from a place where things were handed to you. You created a path for yourself, right? And you bet against those odds. And it looks so far like you're winning.
Can't complain. I don't know if I'm winning, but definitely I'm not losing.
Nice. So obviously in today's podcast, we're going to be talking about two main topics: kindness in business, and then the state of sales development and the role of AI in sales development as well. We'll start with kindness in business. And I would like to ask you, what does kindness in business mean to you personally and professionally?
For me, it means relationships, and relationships means deals, and deals means my livelihood. So it all starts from, I like to reverse engineer stuff. It all starts with the person who you are. In sales, I feel like it's super underrated to be the person that people are willing to spend the time with, and the people like working with, and the people trust. If you don't have those three things, it's much harder for you to close a deal, especially in enterprise sales. So without it, I cannot imagine actually moving the needle forward. This notion of being a man or woman of value first, instead of asking for something all the time. Kindness also goes to, are you able to keep your promises? Because in sales, we love to promise the world, and let's see what actually comes to life. But the thing is, this kindness thing, it allows you to not cut the corners and actually deliver and over deliver sometimes, and that's what builds trust, and that's what builds relationship. And I think without it, it's really tough to sell right now.
I wouldn't agree more. I think that trust is at the core of sales, and without it, it's very difficult to drive those conversations and to even understand the pains of your prospects, to even position yourself in a way that you can help them, right? And that's also coming from a place of kindness. I think ultimately kindness can lead us down many different paths. It can mean very different things, but having those values, being a good person and trying to do good for others as well as for yourself is definitely important in business, right? You've been part of teams, you've led teams, you've been an individual contributor. Can you maybe share a time where compassion or empathy led to a breakthrough for yourself, in your company, or for your team?
Well, I was a part of Woodpecker for almost 9 years. And I've joined as the first sales rep, one of the first sales reps, and I was able to close the first 1,000 customers that we had. That allowed us then to grow and become a publicly traded company. And without me being able, because when you just join the startup who has first pre-sold 30 customers from Founders Network, and you're still figuring it out, you have to understand there's a lot of hypotheses, there's a lot of uncertainties of who you're actually selling to. And without actually caring enough to listen to prospects, to see what their real struggles are, see where we can excel, we would not be able to close those 1,000 customers. So I think that notion of me being just able to relate to people and to listen, and kind of this skill just to, shut myself up and let them talk, because we sales reps love to navigate the conversations and talk more. But in the times like those, it was super important for me just to listen and not to put my hypothesis in front, but actually to listen what the prospects care about, because based on that, we built our product later. So that was a big breakthrough, I remember as soon as we hit first 100 customers, then the journey to 1,000 was pretty quick. The first 30 to 100 was slow, because we were like, what features, who we actually have to sell to. But then when we cracked the code, it all started clicking.
That's a really nice story. And it shows as well the value, right, of coming in and not knowing it all. I think in sales, sometimes we're guilty of that, of thinking, oh, we got this, I know how to do this. But actually listening is one of the most important skills in sales. I was once told by an old manager, Warren Birchley, you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth, use them in that ratio. I was definitely a very loud and spoken 22-year-old at the time, and that's something that I've carried through my whole journey. So, without listening, you don't actually know. And without actually knowing, it's very difficult to execute.
I mean, yeah, you're right. It's far better to go to, and that's a good quote. I like it. I'll remember it. I'll use it.
It's an easy one to remember, and it's quite visual one. So definitely used it many times in my career since. Obviously, kindness comes a long way in business, and we've discussed some of the elements in which it can help do that. But there are also a lot of misconceptions that people have around kindness in the business context. Do you want to share anything about that? Do you have any stories or any examples?
Yeah, I mean, what also came with closing those customers was that sometimes people, the clients, the prospects, misunderstood the kindness for being able to use and get a little bit more out of it. So let's say when we offered them a better trial for a period, they were registering 10 domains for a trial. So kind of thinking, oh, we'll just use for free, and when the trial ends, we'll just go for another one. And that way we don't have to pay. So it also, you have to set the boundaries there, that you have to really make it clear that, hey, I want to play fair. And I'm offering here something that, normally is not being offered. But I also expect you to respect it. And if you're going to, go your way out to, do something, this is where we have to set the clear boundaries. At the same time, I remember situations where prospects were a little bit harsh on our support team for the things that were not in our control. We, as a cold email tool, were responsible for basically giving them a platform to send those emails. But in the end, we were not the ones who were responsible for the success of those emails, because we didn't fix the copy for you. We just me as a car provider, I'll give you the car, but I'll not be able to tell you that your car will be the fastest one if you don't pay for the fastest car. Like if you pay for the car, for the road car, and then go on a track and try to beat other drivers and come up short, you don't blame us for that, because you're kind of misusing this platform. And that was also the times where we had to, be really straight and sometimes fire the prospects, fire the clients, because they were a little bit too toxic on us. But those situations did not actually happen a lot. Those were very rare situations, but it all comes with boundaries. Like, yes, we are here, we want to make it work, but if you just go a little bit too far, there's also have to be a boundaries which we have to protect, because customer first doesn't really always play that way in organizations. You have to really take care of your employees, and because those are the people who are building your business. And if they feel like they're being treated wrong, you have to stand for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I fully agree with you as well on the sense of just because you're being nice doesn't mean that you should be taken advantage of, right? And that's definitely a misconception that's out there. But at the same time, being nice doesn't equal not having boundaries and setting expectations. In fact, it's even more important to set those boundaries and expectations so that people understand that, hey, yes, you are a good person, you're coming from a good place and you're going to do your best. But at the same time, you're not dumb, right? You're quite smart. You understand how things are laid out, and you're going to move forward in the best way for the company, for yourself, not necessarily always for the prospect, because otherwise your company could look many different ways depending on the request that you get that day.
True. It touches different points, like discounts maybe. Sometimes prospects are willing to stretch the type of discount they're asking for. We reps sometimes have a pressure to deliver a certain quota. And when we're short, we tend to maybe, stretch the discount that we're given. But it's also very important to stick to your guns and understanding that, giving too big of a discount just to close is not a beneficial long-term strategy. So you have to keep the strategy, you have to keep the boundaries clear. So, yeah.
So I've got one more question in this section before we move on to the sales development and AI section. But what is one piece of advice that you'd give to someone trying to lead their business with more heart and humanity?
I think we live in the times right now where a lot of things are uncertain. Like AI is moving really fast. Businesses change. Companies are slow to adapt. Obviously everything, other things are going in the world. Right now, your best strategy is not to compete with technology, because, really you can't really that much compete with the technology because it's so easy to build right now. You can really come up with some tool, and then within a month you'll see copycats of yourself. So what really matters is how you treat people. How do people what do people think of you when they think of your product? And there are many things that you can do, but it all comes down to what are your values, what do you stand for, and just make it clear. If you are a CEO, make it clear what are the values of the company that you're standing for. Post about that you're the biggest promoter of those values. If you are the sales rep, also go with the values of your company, share them, stand with those values. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you want to take shortcuts, but don't do that. And it's easier said than done. We all live in different situations. That's first thing. And the second one, I would say, just give a lot for free right now. A lot of companies and sales reps live in this terms of, hey, behind we have some good information, but we'll hide it behind the paywalls or behind the email signups just to get leads. And we live in the age right now where I feel like a lot of people who are winning and are up at the front are the ones who are sharing and give it a lot for free. Because literally, ChatGPT and all those AIs know a lot of stuff. Obviously, they're not really fine-tuned for like specific use cases, but they do know a lot of stuff. And actually, if you just know how to prompt them, they can come up with some good stuff. So be the source of information that the people are willing to go to, rather than ChatGPT. Win the battle against the AI, and that's the only way to do that is to overshare right now, to overshare the specific information on the specific insights that and don't hold stuff for free. And that's how you'll build either your presence on LinkedIn, your company's brand. You'll start winning more deals on. It's just one of the biggest tips I can give.
Thank you for sharing. I think it's very good advice. And I think we can see it on LinkedIn, right? The people that are adding value and providing that value for free, at the end of the day, get the biggest returns, because people get to know what they're doing, people get to know how it's going to help them, and people get more interested. And over time, once they develop a need or they realize, actually, this can help me, they switch things around and they become a customer, right? Rather than just a silent watcher or a silent viewer. And I think creating a brand, posting on LinkedIn has a lot of advantages. But one of those advantages is that people know who you are. We wouldn't be able to differentiate one bot amongst 10,000 right now if we were to pick them out in a crew.
True. That's so true. The journey of the client, sometimes I have people who have been following me silently, even without leaving any sorts of likes or comments, because someone has been sending them my content for a month. And one of the first messages I get from them, hey, Yurii, I want to pay you for this session, for coaching, for, I don't know, we want to cooperate with you. We want you to invite you to advise on our product. And I'm like, hey, how did you know me? Like, I've been actually, reading your stuff for ages. And often you don't get to see those people because the real decision makers don't hang out that much on LinkedIn. They do sometimes, but in most of the cases, they're just busy working. So they usually get the content sent to them. So yeah, it takes time to build trust, and you're totally right. I see people who are trying to win in the short-term race, like a sprint, but I'm focused on a marathon, and so far it's working well for me.
Sales is definitely a marathon and not a sprint, right? It is about that long-term vision. And otherwise everyone would be millionaires and there would be no salespeople past the age of 30.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Yeah, no, obviously it's not what is happening right now. So talking of sales development, you've been in sales for a few years now. You've understood a little bit about what's happened in those few years. So I guess the question is, from your perspective, how has the role of sales development evolved in the last few years, and what changes do you see coming?
Yeah, the bar has risen. Back in the days of early predictable revenue blueprints, you could just scrape a generic copy, just some sort of leads, blast the outreach with spray and pray, and it would work. You would get some responses. Then compare that strategy to today, it's a total failure if you just try to replicate it today. Why? Because deliverability has changed. The way we send emails, the way that operators like Google and Microsoft, make sure that you don't spam people, it's became much harder. That's one thing. Second one, people got tired of this spray and pray outreach. The mental spam filters have been fine-tuned in our heads. As soon as we see some phrases, hope this email finds you well, curious if you've been doing X, Y, and Z, we already see that this is a cold email. I've been researching your company on LinkedIn. I've noticed, your CEO, whatever. This are the phrases that have been, that raise the, all right, I'm being sold to. And the shields up. I have to be careful. So copy has changed. What works right now has changed. The outreach has changed. A lot of things have changed. The reason for that is back in the day, there were not so many people doing that. And the more people that start to do that, the less effective it becomes. And in sales, typically we have these phases of tips and tactics that work. And, we get the normal stage. The early adapters who seems to have success with some particular strategy, they rave about using this strategy a lot. Then more people come and start using this strategy, and then the strategy becomes ineffective because all of a sudden everybody's doing that. And these are the cycles that we've been living in sales. So for some time, I feel like the first one was starting using multi-channel outreach. Because if you back in the day were reaching out not only on email, but on LinkedIn or maybe calling, you were already in top 1%. It was working better for you. Then right now it's not enough. You can't just, replicate outreach. So then there were the age of icebreakers. Like I will personalize my first line, just make sure it sticks and it works. Obviously, the first one who were doing that had success with it, but just personalizing the first line will not move the needle forward if your offer doesn't resonate with the ICP. So now comes the age where the entry level to setting up an outreach is so low, because you can literally go to a tool. Because back in the day, you had the tool only for outreach. Then you had to find the tool for leads. Then you had to find some sort of a copy. How do you write it? And then you have to combine it. And you usually did it manually. Now it's so easy to set up that campaign that you can go even to one tool and get everything there. Leads, copy, outreach system. So naturally, more and more people have started using that. And those strategies and tips have become outdated, even though, some of those have been invented in 2020, like any thoughts follow-up. It was effective for like a year, but after that, everybody was any thoughts, and, people got tired of it. So, and, when AI came to life, it accelerated everything, because all of a sudden we realized that we could do some things much faster than we used to do them. And right now, the things of how things change and move forward really amazes me. Like it literally, AI doubles in power every 6 months or so. And those AI tools are getting much smarter. Obviously, we're not there yet with a full autonomous copilot, but some of the tools like researching, personalizing, trigger intents, making sense of combining all of the informations together, call recording, and then, taking script out of it, making a follow-up. Those things have become really, really effective and working nice. So I feel like we are in the biggest change for sales right now, where AI is not capable of yet replacing the sales reps, the good sales reps. It's helping us, it's augmenting us, and but it already can do some things well, like low engagement, low level things to do well.
Thank you for sharing that. And you've answered one of the questions I had for you, which was, where do you see the biggest opportunity for AI to enhance rather than replace human connection in sales? I think you make a good point there with the good sales reps, right? Because there are a lot of things that AI can help with, can automate, can facilitate. I think for the more complex, for the more strategic things, that's when you do require people there. But it can already do a lot more than it could a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, right? So the fast speed at which it's changing indicates that it's going to continue going that way, and it's going to continue evolving and changing.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I recently saw the data by Clary that they analyzed, I don't know how many, it was like 10,000 deals, a million deals, I don't remember, but there was quite a lot of deals from Fortune 500 companies. And what they found is that the top 10% reps are responsible for 60+% revenue generated by company. So essentially, the bottom 50% are responsible for like less than, 5%, maybe less than 10%. So essentially, we land in a situation where leaders and organizations have to figure out, what do we do? Do we make sure that we take those low performers and educate them how to use AI to elevate their game to 50+% performance? Or do we straight up replace them with AI? So this is an interesting choice for those lower performers. For what AI is already doing well, it's not, you cannot take AI and let it sell you the enterprise deal. But if you are in a SaaS under $50 subscription, your lower subscription starts under $50, and you have a large TAM, you can literally, create campaigns, start researching prospects, fine-tuning the copy, and having the process done automated for you with AI right now. And I know some companies who are already doing that, and they do it pretty well. So AI is already excelling at, making sense of things, pulling things together from different sources, like, CRM, email, and kind of, creating a story out of it that it was easy for us to sell. Researching prospects, there's tools like Rumi. I was amazed, where I was just like, all right, here are the 100 companies that I need to research. Please do me the research. It took 2 hours. I came back, just chilled by the pool, came back, and I had literally like battle cards for each company. And those are like really solid battle cards, like this company's main competitors, what prospects are saying on the reviews, what are and really detailed research. So, there are tools like Twain. You can just tell them, okay, these are the companies that I want to send them emails, and it will literally write you sequences, like personalized sequences for those companies just by the name. And obviously like tools like Clay, where you can just like enrich prospects. So things are moving fast. And right now I feel like in the age like this, it's super important to have this ability to learn and relearn quickly, because I'm not sure the tactics, back in the day, it used to like 1 year or 2 years, maybe the tactic is working. And then it was time for us to unlearn. Right now, things have accelerated much faster. So we have to stay on our 10 toes.
Fully agree. And it's hard to keep up. But the thing is, if you're not keeping up, you're not going to stand out and you're not going to be succeeding, right? Because I do find that the most successful sellers are going to be the ones that utilize AI to maximize their efficiency, their productivity, and to spend time where it actually really matters for them to spend time, right? So I think let's see how it evolves, but I will continue hearing about it. And I think it's just the beginning, quite frankly. So we've only got a few minutes. So I'm going to do a round fire with 3 quick questions, and then we'll do the final question for you. So do you have any kindness rituals that you practice daily, weekly, or monthly?
Yeah, I start my day with just gratitude for 3 things that happened the day before. It helps me keep me humble. And sometimes when things are not going in the direction, or maybe not going as fast, or going a little bit sideways, it helps you realize that things are not that bad. And also sometimes it's hard to track the progress when you are set for a bigger goal. But then when you just sit down and kind of think about it, it's like, okay, actually, it's not that bad. So it helps me keep focused.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it's reframing, right? Especially in sales, we're always trying to get ahead of the game, next step, next step. So it's good to look back and think, what did I accomplish yesterday? Why am I proud of? What am I grateful for having, right? Because it's not just about having more and more and more. It's about appreciating what we've already got. What is one book, podcast, or resource that's helped you lead with more kindness?
That's an interesting one. One book or podcast or resource. I think it's hard for me to answer, because I am a book junkie, and it's hard for me to pick one. But one of those books that helped me reframe was it resonated with me, is The Ego is Your Enemy by Ryan Holiday. Is sometimes those inner voices inside our head, or the pride that we're our champion it is really our main enemy, and it holds us back from accomplishing some things. That I would suggest just read that book, because oftentimes we're, as you said, trying to change the new goals, and when things don't go our way, it hurts us. And this is where we have to realize that sometimes maybe you don't have to go that far for those things.
It's a book that I haven't heard of, so I will definitely give it a read, and I'll let you know what I think. My last round fire question is, if your leadership style had a theme song, what would it be?
My leadership style? I would say Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen.
Okay.
Because I don't think it's just one type of style. It's you know, if you've listened to the song, it has a lot of switches. It's basically like as a symphony comparing. So I would say the same here. I can't describe my style in one word. I could be your friend, but at the same time I'll be strict. But at the same time I'll be loose. So I'll trust in you. I will not track what you're doing. I will not micromanage you. But if I see that you're stretching the boundaries of what I said to, I'll be very strict. And then I'll turn from a friend to a manager. So it's kind of, I don't know, there's probably that song.
So you've got all the different changes depending on what's going on around you, and look forward to that crescendo at some point.
Exactly.
No, but that's a very good song. So last question before I let you go. 2 people that you think I should speak to next.
Well, the first one, I definitely think you should speak to Florian Tachulea if you haven't spoken to. And the second one is Giulio Segantini, is the cold calling guy with the yellow vest and Jenga. So those are the 2 guys that are real experts in what's going on right now in sales. One is the cold calling expert. The other one is cold email sales AI expert, and those just 2 really good human beings.
And thank you so much. Do we have any ladies that you think I should speak to when it comes to kindness in sales?
Sorry, yeah, I didn't mention. I should have mentioned that earlier. Jen Allen.
Yep, Jen Allen I've reached out to. Hopefully she'll get back.
Yeah, she's great, and well, there's so many ladies. It's just one. It's hard for me to differentiate. Maybe speak with Daria Gerasimova. She's been very interesting point of sales combined with ads. So like that's a very interesting angle right now. And also she has a very interesting style of being emphatic when selling. So
Hey, we have one question from our last guest, Brian Mulray, for you, and that is there any situations where it can be challenging to be kind within the business world?
yeah, when you feel like you're being bullied into something, like as I said, sometimes maybe prospects are stretching the boundaries or maybe have a bad day, like we do in outreach. Sometimes someone's having a bad day and they throw this ball of bad energy because of some bad things are happening to them on you. And you have to realize that it's not because they want to, but they just, chose you as a person to throw it. And it's far beneficial to step aside and let that ball of energy pass close by than rather catch it and throw it back to them.
Realizing that it's not personal is a difficult skill in sales, right? And we shouldn't take things personal when they're not.
But it's very hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And it takes years, and like it takes building that thick skin as well to get used to it and realize that actually this is not about me. This person doesn't know me, and this personal attack doesn't have anything personal about it.
Yeah.
So this is finally our last question, but what would you like to ask our next guest?
Well, this question interested me a lot. Is so what's your game plan in the age of things that are moving so fast, and how do you actually stay close to the values that are like, those are my values, but things are moving so fast, and how do you keep staying on top of things without making sure that you cross out one of your values? Because I feel like in this age, like this end of the question, but just what I see sometimes is there's so many lies on LinkedIn, so many bad big claims. I've made 100,000 a month in just 3 months of doing this. I've closed 700 customers. doing that. So it's very, and it's not only on LinkedIn, it's just in the world. It's how politics go, how business, and I understand right now the biggest and the loudest are the one who are winning. And it's maybe hard to compete with them in the ages like we are living right now. So how do you stay and compete and keep winning without actually sacrificing one of your values?
I think it's a very good question. I think it's something that a lot of people will have faced, especially with all this rapid growth and with changes and evolutions in their career. However, I will say I don't always agree that the loudest are the ones doing the most business. Sometimes the loudest are just the loudest, right? It can happen that the loudest are the most successful, but it doesn't always correlate. And I've seen people that are quite quiet on LinkedIn be very successful. So it can happen both ways. But thank you so much, Yurii, for coming on today and for having this conversation. It's been a pleasure. Apologies that we've gone over time a little bit. And I'll see you very soon. And to all of you listening, thank you so much. I'll see you next week for another episode. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.